Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So a new bill just passed which would send out payments of up to $2,000 and would be adjusted for inflation every single year. So next year, for example, it would be increased up to $2,100 for some people. We're going to be discussing this bill that passed. Plus, a new poll just showed that the current president and Joe Biden actually has a huge lead on the former president and Donald Trump. But is there any truth to this poll? We're going to be going over that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $9,000 in free stocks or $9,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then deposit at least 1 penny. At that point, Webull will be sending you at least 3 free stocks worth, once again, all the way up to $9,000. And if you do not want to invest at this point in time and you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive those free stocks, is just sell them for what they're worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, and that is that the House yesterday passed a new bill that would send out fresh payments every single year to the poorest of families of up to $2,000. This, of course, is in the form of child tax credit payments. So according to CNN, House passes bipartisan tax bill that expands the child tax credit. So the House voted on Wednesday evening to pass a $78 billion bipartisan tax package that would temporarily expand the child tax credit and restore a number of business tax benefits. The bill will next go to the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson currently oversees a razor-thin majority, but the bill passed with rare bipartisan support. The vote was 357 to 70, with 188 Democrats and 169 Republicans voting in favor, and 23 Democrats and 47 Republicans opposed. So obviously there was a lot of bipartisan support, which means that when the bill goes to the Senate, more than likely it is going to pass there, being that both Republicans and Democrats, for the most part, are on board with this bill. Now, they go on to say that most of the child tax credit enhancements would benefit lower income families who would be able to claim more of the credit. The deal calls for increasing the maximum refundable credit for households who owe little or no income taxes. Low income families with more than one child would receive the same credit for each of their children, just as higher income households already do. Also, families would have the choice of using their earnings in the current year or prior year in case their income is volatile. The credit would be adjusted for inflation starting in 2024, which is expected to bump up the maximum credit to $2,100 per child in 2025, up from the current $2,000, according to the left-leaning Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. The provision would be in effect for 3 tax years from 2023 through 2025. So normally whenever you receive a very low income and you don't owe a lot of taxes, you aren't eligible for the maximum child tax credit of $2,000. With this bill passing, more families are going to be eligible for the full refundable amount up to $2,000. And once again, this is going to be adjusted for inflation. So like they mentioned there, next year in 2025, that is likely to be bumped up another $100. And you'll probably see those $100 bumps each and every year, at least through 2025. Meanwhile, Republican Matt Gaetz isn't the biggest fan of this bill. Let's go ahead and watch what he has to say.
To the extent that this is a tax bill, there are good provisions in it on business expensing for economic growth. But my friends, this is not a tax bill. This is a welfare bill masquerading as a tax bill. The Wall Street Journal was correct to identify the ways in which this legislation vastly expands the welfare state. And so this is how the bipartisan agreement came together. If the Republicans were willing to give the Democrats what they wanted for illegal aliens to get massive subsidies in welfare, then the Democrats were willing to give the Republicans what they wanted on a bunch of business welfare. The child tax credit, as currently contemplated, will be a massive pull factor to bring people into this country illegally. And we could have, as the majority party, demanded constraints to stop them from being able to use the money that way, but bipartisanship was more important than good policy. And as my friend from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, noted recently, if you aren't paying taxes and you get a refundable tax credit in the form of a check, that's not a tax cut. That's not even tax policy. That's just welfare. They're just giving people money that didn't initially pay it in, and a bunch of them are here illegally. But it's not just a welfare bill in that respect, it's also corporate welfare. These R&D tax credits that they've put in there are so targeted, they're bought and paid for by the lobbyists who fund their campaigns and give them donations, and it is entirely wrong. We should have a flat tax code, and the R&D tax credits that they're putting in are deeply misguided. They continue to distort the economy, and frankly, it's just another flavor of a lot of the Green New Deal tax credits that you act like you're against. But indeed, Mr. Speaker, that is not the case. This is not a tax bill. It is a welfare bill in drag, and that may be appealing to some of the proponents.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to move on to our next story, and that is a new poll that was released showing that the current president and Joe Biden is blowing up to a commanding lead over the former president and Donald Trump. This comes as a huge surprise. This poll is by Quinnipiac. So according to The Hill, President Biden has opened up a 6-point lead in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup with former President Trump. New polling shows amid signs of a growing gender gap in support for the two-party frontrunners. A new Quinnipiac University national poll found Biden with 50% support among registered voters ahead of Trump's 44%. That's a shift in the incumbent's favor from December, when Quinnipiac found the same Biden-Trump hypothetical, quote, too close to call, with Biden at 47% support and Trump at 46%. Biden also scored the majority support among independents in the latest findings, with 52% support to Trump's 40%. The poll additionally found a growing gender gap when it comes to support for the current and former presidents as they each run for a second White House term. 58% of women say they support Biden, up from 53% in December. At the same time, 53% of men say they support Trump, largely unchanged from 51% in December. In a Biden-Haley matchup, Haley scored 47% support, a 5-point lead over Biden's 42%. So as you can see right there, if the Republicans ended up electing Haley, more than likely Haley would do a little bit better in a head-to-head matchup versus Biden, but right now Trump leads Haley by a wide margin. And although this Quinnipiac poll shows that Biden is now leading Trump by 6 points, all in all, is there really too much truth to this? Because if we look at polls across the board, according to Real Clear Politics, we can see that on average, Trump actually leads Biden by 2.5 points. So other than this outlier poll by Quinnipiac where Biden leads by 6 points, we have these other polls where Trump actually leads by the same amount, by 6 points. So Harvard-Harris, you can see there at the bottom of your screen, Trump leads by 6 points. The Messenger and Harris-X, Trump leads by 6 points. Reuters, Trump leads by 5 points. Rasmussen reports, Trump leads by 8 points. So even though we have this one poll here where Biden leads by 6 points, all in all, if you look across the board at all these other polls, we actually have Trump leading by, pretty much the same or less. So all in all, I would say across the board, Americans right now probably support Trump a good bit more than they do Biden. But again, let me know in the comment section below, if the election was held today, are you going to be voting for Biden or are you going to be voting for Trump? Or perhaps are you going to be writing in another candidate's name? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.